Let's talk metaphysics and why the Egyptian Moors live within the sixth dimension all the way up to the 15th dimension. And this is what Egyptian Moors are here for. They're in existence for this. So, praises and cheers. Try to stick with me. This can be a fun subject. Let's make it fun. So, to first start off, the word Egypt is somewhat known as a Greek term, but in actuality, it has African dialects that has created the modern term Egypt. Okay. And so, what you have is it being the mother language of Sumeria, it being the mother language of Phoenicia, Aramaic, Nabatean, Hebrew, and Arabic. This language comes from a further language where the vowels were more pronounced called Hykuptos. Okay? Hykuptos, right? And Hykuptos comes from the actual term that was being used for a specific reason called Heka of Ptah, that now we have as Egypt. Heka, meaning magic and such, of Ptah in Egypt. And we know that Heka also comes from Sekhmeka, which was the original sun god, right? The original mother womb god of this earth before Ra came into play. And Ptah is the pattern, the computer, the pattern of the dielectric plane of where all waves can possibly express themselves. Think about the light spectrum and all the waves. That line is the dielectric plane of inertia, where dielectricity is at, and around is the magnetism, the mother, the light portal that you're in, which dimension that you are portaled into. Okay, so now we have an understanding where Egypt comes from originally. It comes from magnetodielectricity, Heka and Ptah. Sekhmeka is the enlightening age, golden age of Leo, and Ptah is the age of Aquarius, right? And so the patterns of the computations of magic, which was written on the walls in what we know as Metanetter. And before then, written on other walls all around, and Egyptian empires all around the earth and Panasia. And so now we see, okay, that's what Egypt is really all about. It's about magic and computer, and Khonsu also being the original moon god and such like that. Khans and Ptah. And so you have computer and the magic expression, the computer format, magnetodielectricity and such, the mother and the father, the original Mason, all right? The original Mason. See, you had the father, and then you had the express son of the father, right? That was the original father, rather than just the mother and the son. It was the father and the expression. All right, so what makes an Egyptian Moor? Because Moor in Egypt means a lot of different things. It means death, it means love, it means light, it means high priest of Anu and Anubis. Because you got to remember that Sumeria and Egypt were, kind of commingling for a good amount of time. And so what you have is death being that portal energy that can take you to all different dimensions. All right, so now we have to go through the dimensions real quick, and we're going to go through the dimensions as if they're chakras, because that's technically what they really are. So we're going to start off with the root chakra being the first dimension, which is all ego. The second dimension is sexuality. The third dimension, the solar plexus chakra, is emotion, ether in motion. All right. You have the fourth dimension, which is the heart, which is psychology. The fifth dimension, which is the throat, which is religion. the sixth dimension, which is the ajna, which us Moors, us Egyptian Moors, we live in a state of understanding. But the ajna and this dimension is about technique. It's about actually using the magic. This is why I say Egyptian Moors use the magic, the Heka magic, because we're Egyptian. We are the magic of Ptah, the expression of the dielectric plane of infinity, which gets us to the seventh dimension, which is the crown chakra, which is transcendence, right? In the first level of samadhi. So the first level of samadhi can get you to the ninth level of samadhi. So there's 9 samadhis. You have to get to the 7th level of samadhi to transcendence to the first samadhi, so that you can get to the 9th samadhi, which is the 15th dimension. So this is why I say Moors live through technique to get you ready. We live through the magic to get you ready to transcend to samadhi. And this is why you have a lot of the Egyptian folk lore talking about we're here to get back to a certain home. So a lot of people live in the third dimension, but it was proven by the author of Dark Light. Go get that book. You'll know exactly which one it is when you type it in. Brother Bruce proved to us that us melanated beings, us beings that have 1 drop of melanin in our bloodline, are supposed to be living in the 6th dimension of technique, not religion. The 5th dimension of religion is what most people are trying to get to through religion, if they're still in emotionality and ego and in, the lower 3 chakras. So most people live in the 3rd dimension because they can't get out of the lower 3 chakras, which is ego, sexuality, and emotion. But when you get to psychology, now you get to understanding what the reality is, and you get to religion and practicing psychology more and more, and then you get to technique, where you're actually doing the magic, you're doing the yoga, you're doing the Nadan, you're doing the Tantra, all the different magic practices out there that come with philosophy and such. This is the 6th dimension that Moors live in. Because we're Egyptian Moors, we come from... Now, if you're just using the Moor for a racial term, maybe you're in the lower dimension as a Moor. But a lot of people do know that Egypt was a Pan-Asian, Pangean empire around the world. It wasn't just one place, a kingdom. It was an empire. And so what you have is, once you get to the 7th dimension of transcendence, now you start to get into the 9 chakra system a little bit, and you see the spleen is opened up for psychology of emotions inside of the 2nd level of samadhi. And then you have the 3rd level of samadhi, which is psychology of samadhi in general. So, because emotions will probably be the one thing that pulls you back down. So you have to become a master of the ethers and their emotions to get past the 3rd level or 2nd level of samadhi, to get to that 3rd level where you're just having samadhi psychology as your main point of life. You're in that 9th dimension. And the rest of the 6 dimensions after that, are purely transcendence. And Moors are pretty much here to only be in the 6th to 9th dimension. All right, the 6th to 9th dimension, right? We're only here to be there. And people try to categorize us in 3rd dimensional concepts, and we stay silent. But there needs to be a little bit more talking that, hey, we're not like the rest of the world. Those that have drops of melanin in their bloodline aren't like the rest of the world, where we actually don't have 5 senses. Those 5 senses are the 5 lower chakras that we have already transcended. We're into at least 9 senses, which is telepathy, intuition, insight, clairvoyance, and psychology. And so we're into these things as much as y'all are into the 5 dimensions. Just as much as y'all are into sight, taste, touch, smell, hearing, and such. We are into these things just as much. Just as much. It's not like we're just barely touching the surface. No, we were born into these things. Right? And so, remember that Egypt, the Sekhmet energy comes from the Lyrian energy of Atlantis and Lemuria as well. So we know that this goes way beyond what most history can tell us. You can find a lot, though, online nowadays. Tapping into the Akashic Records online, and just to confirm some things. But yeah, that Lyrian energy, that head of a lion's head, gives us those attributes. That's why cats and reptiles, they have a certain characteristics that are very supernatural to our perceptions. Cats can land from a 100-story building on their feet like nothing because they know a little bit of levitation. You know what I mean? They have certain psychologies that they play with nature. Same thing with reptiles. They know how to shed themselves, and that's why Moors were known to always have the Kundalini Naga energy, because they are about portal shedding. They shed the portals. We shed levels of samadhi to get to our 9th level of samadhi, which is the 15th dimension. And we have samadhi psychology once we get to that 9th chakra. In actuality, once we get to the 9th chakra in our bodies, we split open our spleen and we split open our heart to create that G center, that magnetic monopole that will allow us to get to different levels of samadhi. This is what Moors were really all about. And that's why the Egyptian energy was like, yeah, we're going back home. And these different dimensions, there's different dimensions through gamma waves and such, we can actually transcend and actually become one with all of the universes that can actually that is our actual home. As Moors, we are extraterrestrial because we're beyond mind and body. We came into these avatars as consciousness to show ourselves certain levels of lower dimensions, but our true home and our true self is the 6th through the 9th dimension. And so that's why we always talk about self-realization and knowledge of self so much, is because we're all about knowledge of self, self-realization, being the witness that is perceiving, the awareness that is watching, the alertness that becomes the consciousness that enmeshes with the mind that creates the body. That's how many levels that we have to true self realization. And even the words don't do justice, but this is the samadhis that we actually come from to actually look at ourselves as a mirror. See, the 3rd dimensional mirror of self doesn't do us justice. That's why we don't like to get categorized in any of that. And we stand firm upon our sovereignty. So this is about dimensionality and density sovereignty, because a mind could be dense if the mind isn't enmeshing higher dimensions into the mind. And so as we get into our higher dimensions, we bring into our mind that might be more in a 3rd dimensional state because of the age that we live in, the Piscean age, moving into the Aquarian age, which is a golden age. But we're here to clean up this dirtier age of dimensionality and density. We're here to clean it up. And so we're here to bring higher dimensions into the mind that we are witnessing as as self, just looking at, not attaching to the body or the mind, but knowing that those are just the mind that we are watching play out, and we are just the witness of this whole reality. All of Earth, we're just witnessing. We're not a part of any of it, because we're way beyond a lot of the galaxies and a lot of the cosmoses that have been discovered. We're way beyond it. All right, so praises and cheers. Hopefully this took you on a understanding of what type of culture we come from and why we are here in this dimension right now, through saying that we are in the age of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius. We are here to reboot the computer that allows the 15th dimension to trickle in all the way down to the 6th dimension, and then help the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimension out. Help the emotionality, kind of neutralize itself out with real ether knowledge. Help psychology really upgrade itself through actual culture, and help religion see that it's all just based in, the sun and the expression and the patterns of nature, and, the moon patterns as well, to reflect the sun as well. And it's very simple. The 4th, 5th, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimension, we are as 6th dimensional beings here to help those 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensional aspects out, so that they can understand what the 6th dimension is and actually understand how real magic is. But we do that through technique, melanin, pineal, and understanding the Ajna chakra, the 1,000-petal lotus, so we can actually transcend to the 7th dimension, and we can start our samadhi, actual self-realization and knowledge of self. So praises and cheers, family. Hopefully this makes you have fun with your reality, not take anything personal, not take anything serious, not expect anything. Know that we're literally here just watching a movie, y'all. We're really just watching a movie, bringing remembrance to the movie, how we can enmesh into the movie with the split knowledge of understanding that awareness changes the movie. So we bring awareness to the movie and we change the movie naturally, without having to change anything. We don't change the movie, we just bring awareness into it, and things naturally change. So we're not really trying to change anything. We just know that this is all self, as much as it has nothing to do with us, and we're just here watching and basking in the bliss, the true self of bliss, and letting the God, Ptah and Sekhmet, and the understanding of God be bliss for real, for what it really is. So praises and cheers once again.